Oh, how you doing? Long time no see. Man, let's talk about these Cowboys right here next on Cowboy Spit.
Here we go! Yeah, here we go! Wait, take Cowboys Spit.
Throws back of the end zone. There's
What's going on, everybody? Cowboy C3, man. It's been a while. I know it has been. Sorry for the delay, but we're back, man, and we're gonna stay back. We gonna keep it going from now on. Cowboys have made some pretty decent moves, man. I'm not upset about it. I'm not overly excited about it either, but at least they were active. And my favorite move of the entire offseason thus far has been this. This dude is gone. Sold his house. They got him the hell up out of here. Congratulations to the Cowboys for making the first big move of the offseason by firing this guy. It was a bad fit from the beginning. It didn't work out. Like, he came in, he bought his scheme. He refused to change out of his scheme, refused to adapt to what he had on the roster, and the Cowboys paid the price for it, and they had the worst defense in the league, or one of the worst. It was between 30 and 32 all season. And, good riddance. Yeah, we'll see you later. Don't even have much more to say about that guy. So, Cowboys made some coaching changes in the offseason, started with the defensive coordinator, and then they went down the line and they hired, a lot of position coaches, which one thing that was clearly evident during this time period was the absence of Jerry and Stephen Jones. And to be honest with you, it was kind of refreshing. They let Brian Schottenheimer hire his people, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I love the hirings, the defensive hirings, a couple offensive hirings as well. I like the fact that you went and got some youth. You went and got a bunch of coaches that can relate to players. You went and got guys that are young. Some of them have experience. Fangio's protege is now your defensive coordinator. And just to take a look at the list, your defensive coaches are different, right? It's a different group of guys. Christian Parker is now your defensive coordinator. Derek Ansley is your defensive pass game coordinator. Dimitri Brim is your assistant defensive line coach. J.J. Clark is your assistant linebacker coach. Mark Dixon is your defensive line coach. Rob Muschamp is your assistant secondary coach. Ryan Smith is your secondary coach. Scott Simons is your inside linebackers coach. Chidera Uzo-Diribi is your outside linebackers coach. You went and got some new guys. Jamel Montiga is your assistant running backs coach. Kyle Fuller is your assistant offensive line coach. Stephen Bravo Brown is your assistant wide receiver coach. You went and got young guys to try to relate to the players, and that's a great thing, and that's something that the Cowboys haven't done in the past. You always got these older gentlemen coming in trying to do things that you did back in the 90s, and it doesn't work. So you went and got a Fangio protege now as your defensive coordinator in Christian Parker, and that's bringing a lot of excitement, a lot of energy to the defense, and he made some signings, and I'm not upset about the things that the Cowboys did with the transactions throughout the offseason. There were some things that I thought maybe they could have done different, but I'm not upset. First thing they did back in February was sign Will Greer, to a reserve futures contract, release Logan Wilson, and sign Javonte Williams to a 3-year contract. Didn't pay him a lot of money, but he showed you last year that he can be your bell cow back. You placed a tender on TJ Bass. You franchise tagged George Pickens. You restructured Dak, CD, and Tyler Smith to free up about $60 million. And that's great. That's fantastic. You got a lot of room. Say Shotty is the new McVay. We'll see. I don't know. I hope so. I hope so. And then in March, you waived Prairie on Winfrey. You acquired Rashawn Gary from the Green Bay Packers in exchange for a 4th-round pick. You went and got you a defensive end. He's a pretty decent pass rusher, but one thing that Rashawn Gary does, he sets the edge, and he is not afraid to play the run. And I appreciate that. I like that a lot, and that's a lot of what DeMarcus Lawrence did for you. You acquired a 7th-round pick for Solomon Thomas. You signed Preston Fenton and Tyus Wheat to contracts. You signed Reddy Stewart to a contract. You re-signed Corey Ballantyne to a contract. And those are good things. Not bad things at all. You went and got some free agents as well, which they attacked free agency, in a way that the Cowboys haven't done it in a long time. And, some of the signings that they made were a little different, but nonetheless, they went and got guys that play that are pretty good football players, decent football players. They went and got Jalen Thompson from the Arizona Cardinals, who is a solid safety. The guy makes plays. He's fairly young. He's turning 28 like in July. He's not a bad football player at all. And it filled a need in the secondary. It did, because your safety play last year was I don't know how to say it, bad. So they went and got Kobe Durant, which is another corner. He started 39 of his 61 games in his 4 years with the Rams. He got 7 picks, got 2 touchdowns off of those picks. He's 5'11", 181 pounds. He's not very big, but he's not small either. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is... Yes, man down. It's me. It's me. You got Atio Obengana from the Chargers, another defensive tackle to add some depth. My favorite free agent signing of the entire offseason was you went and got P.J. Locke, who, to me, P.J. Locke was on a strong defense, was a standout player for the Denver Broncos. I like the way he played. I watched the Broncos a lot by default this year because they happen to play a lot of primetime games this year. And I watched a safety run around and make plays. And I'm not talking about just he made plays on the ball, but he will also come down and bring a hat on a running back. He'll play the ball across the middle. He'll do a lot of things that your free safety, Malik Hooker, wouldn't do, right? So you went and got a guy that can play the safety position. You signed Sam Howell. You signed Matt Hennessy. There were some guys that were signed in the offseason that were, they added depth to the roster. And you went and got some guys that will start for you. Yes, Thompson and P.J. Locke will start at your safeties. Will they be safeties for, years to come? Who knows? We'll see. But, there's a lot of draft talk about them maybe drafting a safety with that 12th or 20th pick, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But, they made some offseason moves that were different than what they've made in the past. And in the absence of Jerry Jones, and a lot of this was a sign of, I think Jerry has begun, and he came out and admitted that, the way we've been doing things, it's not the best in the world. We haven't been good at it, and maybe it's time to change the direction that we're going. And that was pretty evident by him, for one, not hogging up the mic during these press conferences and things like that. He's just been in the back, letting Schottenheimer kind of handle his thing. And even when they signed Christian Parker, I think the weirdest thing to me that there was, when I first saw the press conference come across the screen, and I was like, oh man, let me watch this. Let me see what's going on. Fully expected to be a full entourage on the stage. Jerry, Steven, Will McClay, Brian Schottenheimer sitting on the far left of the little formation, and he'll get a word in every now and then they'll kind of turn the mic over to Christian Parker, and Jerry interrupt him every 2 seconds every time he says something to try, to take the audience, keep their attention on me. And it was only 2 chairs. And when they came out for the press conference, it was only Schottenheimer and Christian Parker. And that was very interesting to see. I haven't seen that in a long time. I don't think I've ever seen it ever, right? And even with these free agent signings, these guys come in, and they don't really have a humongous press conference, but they're there when they come into the building, and Schottenheimer's the one to greet them, and the defensive coordinator's the one to greet them, and it's different. It looks different. It remains to be seen if the lesson was really learned. I don't know if they filled all the holes. I mean, there's things that you can do in the draft. Of course, you've got 2 first-round picks, and you need to fill, a linebacker hole. You still need a book defensive end, somebody that can get after the quarterback relentlessly with and provide pressure on the quarterback with the guy that you traded away last year in the first for this first-round pick that you got right now at number 20. You still need that. There's a lot of needs that this team still has, and it'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft because they're going to have to nail it. And I have a feeling that it'll be a heavy defensive draft, which, you got a new defensive coordinator. You kind of want to give him the keys to the city during the draft and let him do what he's going to do. But this dude is going to try to put together a defense that he's going to try to build it his way. And we'll see if it works. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles defense has been, for the most part, pretty good in this. And what you see with the Philadelphia Eagles defense is probably a lot of what you're going to see with the Dallas Cowboys. You got 2 strong defensive tackles, kind of build a defense around them. Got to get you a linebacker other than DeMar Overshown that can fill some holes and tackle some people. You got some holes to fill, but we'll see. For me, the jury is still out on the offseason. I want to see how they attack this draft. I want to see what they put together. And just give me a look of what it's going to look like when they go into these OTAs and into these rookie mini camps. And let's just see what they do with the picks. For the most part, besides Mozzie Smith, and I wasn't a very big fan of the Leighton Vander Esch pick. I just don't understand why you would draft a guy that broke his neck in college. They've been fairly decent, right, with their picks in the first round. They've got guys that can play. And I was talking to a guy yesterday that, this offense, for the most part, has some first-round picks. But your defense has 1 first-round pick on it that you traded for last year in Quentin Williams. You don't have first-round talent on this defense. And with these 2 picks, I think it is pivotal that you go and get 2 players that you can depend on for years to come that, can bring some excitement to this defense and bring some grit and some nastiness that is desperately wanted and needed with the Dallas Cowboy defense. I think you got the defensive coordinator in place. I think you do. I think you went and got a guy. You went and got a young guy. You got a guy that can relate to players. You got a guy that's hungry. He wants his own opportunity. Flew under Fangio's shadow for a long time, right? For 7 years. And, he finally gets an opportunity to come in and do his own thing. And I think he'll make his mark. You know what I mean? I seriously do. But, we'll see. Now, the talk of the offseason has been my boy Dak. My boy Dak and his old lady, Miss Sarah Jane Ramos. They went through a bad his and her bachelorette party, which for the life of me, I don't understand why you would do that anyway. And it didn't end well. And it came out with a breakup. And, anybody that knows Cowboys, watches the Cowboys, and pays attention to them like I do, anytime Dak goes through a breakup, man, we up for a big season. Like, he going to put up some numbers this year. And it's crazy. But there's been a lot of speculation about why this happened. And I'm sitting here watching this Texas Longhorn Purdue Boilermaker game, and it is coming down to the very last second. Texas is up 76-75, I believe. They kind of showing the bracket now. But it's a good game. But there's been some prenup talk. There's been some, infidelity talk. Maybe Dak was, on Instagram, doing Instagramish things. But one thing that you can say about this damn quarterback, man, if anything, right, this dude do not play about his money. He don't play about it. And 77 with 11.9 seconds left. This dude don't play about his bread. He don't. And the latest and greatest news is that Dak may have gotten in a little trouble around the January timeframe with being on Instagram talking to his ex, and his ex would be Natalie Buffett. And he broke up with Natalie Buffett because she went and spent a whole lot of money on a little vacation, and he didn't like that. He didn't like that at all. And she had to hit he hit the gas on her, and Purdue wins 79-77 on the layup with 0.7 seconds left. Texas shot a half-court shot at the end of the game. They lost, and the number 11 seed is now out. So congratulations, Texas, on the good season, but you won't be going to the Elite Eight. Yeah, Dak is smart. So I guess the word on the street is that Dak came up with a pretty extensive prenuptial agreement for her, and she was not willing to sign. And if you think about it, yeah, Dak was absolutely smart protecting his assets. You're talking about a guy that's worth close to $400 million. And, you're talking about a young lady that before she met Dak Prescott was a lady that sold liquor, and she was making about $40,000 a year. So she's become accustomed to a lifestyle. And, if Dak is on talk, I mean, you're talking about the most popular dude in Dallas. Luka's gone, you know what I'm saying? Dak is the most popular face in Dallas. Dak can go anywhere in the DFW Metroplex, and everybody and their mama is going to know who Dak Prescott is. And he is going to have scattered ass flying to him from now for the rest of his life. And that's just something that you have to deal with when you're talking about a dude of this stature. People are going to talk to this dude all the time. His exes are going to come and talk to him all the time. And that's something that's just going to happen, right? But as far as it comes with the marriage, I am absolutely 100% going to protect myself and my assets from a person who came in when I was already loaded. If you understand what I'm saying, I was already rich when you met me. And when you have a prenuptial agreement, right, and the person won't sign, the first thing that a man thinks, especially if the man has drafted up this prenuptial agreement, is eventually you're going to leave me and you want the ability to take half of my cheese. And that's just not going to happen, right? I can't do that. If I have a lot and I come into a relationship with you and I have done a whole lot, I've grinded, sweated, blood, sweat, and tears through, playing a sport or whatever you do in life, right? You grinded and grinded and grinded and made a lot of money. And then you come into my life and you are reaping these benefits that I have earned with blood, sweat, and tears. You crazy as shit if you think I'm going to give you half of it if we happen to divorce. My thought process would be, what I'm going to do is you're not going nowhere anyway, and I'm not going anywhere. So I'll sign it because it don't really mean nothing no way. Because we not going to break up. And I'm pretty sure that that's Dak's philosophy. And if it is true, once that was refused to be signed, Dak saw what he needed to see and he got the hell up out of town. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? My suggestion to her would be you better go fix it. You know what I'm saying? You better go fix it before it's too late. And it's probably already too late. because you didn't let this dude get back in town. You didn't let him talk to his publicist. You didn't let him talk to his lawyers. You didn't let him talk to his boys. You know what I'm saying? And they like, man, don't you get yourself involved in that shit. And the thing, in Texas being a no alimony state, you're not going to get no, spousal support, you know what I'm saying, to help me produce my lifestyle. And what he'll do is probably similar to what Anthony Edwards did, is we have 2 children, right? How much child support would I pay a month? I'll take that, and I'll take that till the children turn 18, and that'll be a lump sum, and I'll give you 2 game checks, and then you go on about your way. You're talking about a $60 million a year man. He'll throw you 2 game checks. It'll be, somewhere around $15, $20 million. He'll throw you that, and, it'll be a whole lot more money than you had. But, the thing that he'll do is he'll cut off the assets. He'll get a big time lawyer. You know what I'm saying? And you'll go into this custody hearing and all of this stuff, child support hearings and all that type of stuff. And he'll make it to where, you got to stay within 50 miles of me, because I need to be able to see my kids whenever I want it. I got 50-50 custody. You need to stay within 50 miles of me. I've seen that happen with broke people, so I know it'll happen with rich people. You know what I'm saying? You got to. And then if I get traded to the Minnesota Vikings, you're going to have to uproot your life and move to Minnesota wherever I move, because you have to be within 50 miles of me. And if you try to move or move out of the county or whatever, I have to approve that. It is what it is. Hell yeah, it's cold. It's cold as hell, but that's life. You know what I'm saying? You chose this. That's what happens when you're dealing with rich people. And like I said, I've seen it happen with broke people. You know what I'm saying? You have to live within a certain radius, because I need to be able to see my children, and I have to keep them in the same school district and all that stuff. I have to be able to pick them up from school, because we got 50-50 custody. That's what it is. So, that's the choice that was made, though. You know what I mean? I'm not signing this, or we not getting married. Okay, that's cool. And she said it's not about a prenup. And anytime you have to come out and be like, it's not about a prenup, that's not what it was about at all, that means that's probably exactly what it was about. Because Dak ain't said shit, nothing. So she went on a podcast. So you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it is what it is, man. Like, you're gonna have to deal with what comes with that. So that's that. Back to football. Cowboys got some draft needs, man, and we'll see if they fill them. Their strength of schedule, they're 43rd percentile. They got the number 12 pick, and they got the number 20 pick, and they finished 7-9-1 last year. Their biggest needs this year are going to be edge, linebacker. I'm not so sure about defensive line. I think corner should be right behind edge, because I think that's a humongous need, and they need possibly an offensive lineman. I think that there are some things they can do with their offensive line right now, with the line that they have, right? And they can fix some things, but you would have to have a plug-and-play player. So it sounds like a deal. She's going to get to be a millionaire when it's all said and done. That's true. You definitely going to walk out of this with more money than what you had. That's the truth. That is the absolute truth. And, I'm talking about you'll have some generational money, but that's for the babies, but those babies, them girls going to be taken care of regardless, because their daddy going to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Because he strikes me to be that type of guy. Like, I'm going to take care of my babies regardless. You know what I mean? You can go do whatever the hell you want to do, but them babies, they're going to be taken care of. And that's always going to be the case, I believe, with him. But anyway, lots and lots and lots of speculation on what they'll do with these 12th and 20th pick. There's, defensive linemen, the whole Sonny Styles thing, with him running the way that he ran in the draft, that he'll go in the top 5, maybe the top 10. He may not make it to 12. And that's a player that they've had their eye on for a long time. He comes up in discussion all the time. Caleb Downs is another person that comes up in discussion. Smaller safety, but the dude is just a football player. He's all over the field. Jamal McCoy from Tennessee, had a long discussion with my boy Larry about him last night. And, it's been a while since he played football. I saw a video on that dude today, man. He looks super duper fluid, just moving around. But he hadn't played football in a year. And this would be the second corner that you've drafted that is coming off an ACL injury. His is a little bit different. He'll probably be 100% by the time, football season starts. He probably participate in all the OTAs, all the rookie mini camps, and be ready to go in training camp. But, I made my case, last night in the conversation about, drafting guys, injured guys. And even in the video that I saw him working out at the end of the day, he did have on a sleeve over that knee. And, that's understandable. But the dude looked fluid. He looked super fluid. Looked super duper smooth. Watched some video on him his last year he played in Tennessee. The dude is a ball player. He's a lockdown corner. But he's a lockdown corner that's coming off of ACL. And you already got one of those cats on the team right now, Siobhan Reveal. And we'll see what he can do this year. He's coming into that period now where he should be fully healed, no knee brace, no nothing. And the dude at East Carolina was an animal. You know what I'm saying? So we hope, hopefully he can turn into that player again, right? But you're still going to need some help in the secondary. The safety from Oregon, good football player. Defensive end from Auburn, another good football player. But we're going to break all of these guys down up until the draft. And we'll just go through these draft needs, what they need, the top players in that position, and what would be available to them at 12 and 20 if what they decide to do. So the next show, what we'll do is I'll do a mock draft. And I'll do a mock draft with no trades. We're going to take the picks that the Cowboys have. We're going to deny all the little trades that come on these mock drafts, all these offers. And we'll try to line something up and see what it looks like. And there's only one guy, and I've had this conversation with a couple of people. There's only one guy, offensive guy, that I think if he's available at 12 could mess up the whole philosophy of the Cowboys draft. I think that he could. I think he would at least get some consideration to do it. But we'll talk about that on the next show. We'll probably come back here around Tuesday or Wednesday next week, start breaking stuff down. But we need to get all of these positional needs broken down before the draft. And the draft is in, I think, mid-April, late April, sometime around there. But we'll get all this stuff in, and then we'll go live for the draft. And when we go live for the draft, we'll open up some phone lines and see what people think about this 12th and this 20th pick. We'll just do the first round because that's the prime time round. And we'll see what happens. I'm interested, though. They got me interested. I like these coaching hires. I like the decisions. I like those, first and foremost. I like the coaching staff. You've got, young defensive coaches that are going to come in here. They're hungry. They want to show what they got. And they're going to, I just have this funny feeling, man, that they'll put a quality product on the field. And if the offense can be, I'm not saying first or second in NFL like they were last year, but if you can be 7th or 8th and your defense can be in the top 10, you're talking about a solid football team that can compete. You know what I mean? And that's the only thing you can really ask for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's get into these playoffs, man, and let's try to make some sort of run. But we got a lot of work to do, a whole lot of work to do, and I'm all here for it. Okay, Cowboys C3. I will be back next week, and we're going to start breaking down these positional needs for this draft, and we'll see what we can come up with. Larry said, when's the last time you said you liked the coaching staff? Shit, Larry. When I was in the 9th grade, shit, that's not the last time I liked it. I like Parcells, but that wasn't, that was kind of a thing that everybody knew wasn't going to last long. But, every other coaching staff, it's been mediocre as hell. But this one just feels different. It's got a different feel to it. You got a lot of young guys, man, walking around there like I said, the first and foremost, they can relate to these players. It don't feel like you're talking to your granddaddy. You know what I'm saying? And, we can kind of talk about the same things, not just football. I'm talking about with life. You know what I mean? And we semi on the same page. And, that to me, with leadership wise, that's important, because if I have a leader that can relate to me and, and has good leadership skills, and I'm not talking about my homeboy, you know what I'm saying? You're not my friend. You're my coach. You know what I mean? But you are in there, X, Y, and Z, put me in the right position. getting quality guys on the field that can make football plays, that's the only thing you can ask for. And that shit just wasn't there last year. And you could tell week 1, it looked pretty good. But week 2, man, something ain't right. Because that shit against the Giants was unruly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were in an old-fashioned high school shootout with the New York Giants with Russell Wilson playing quarterback. And then you come back the next week against the Bears and just get molly stomped. Your defense can't stop nothing. And you seriously, and I said it even back then when I did the podcast right after the game, you might have jump-started Caleb Williams' career, and you did. You absolutely did. And we've been known to be a catapult for mediocre quarterbacks' careers. And it's time for that to end, man. And hopefully this coaching staff can do that. That's what I hope. I hope that. But anyway, we'll break down this draft needs, and we'll go all the way up into the draft, and then we'll go live for the draft, and then we'll see what they put together. But I'm interested in it. Let's see what happens. Okay, y'all, Cowboy C3. I'll be back. We'll see y'all soon. Good to be back. Glad to have y'all in the live. I appreciate you all. If you haven't done it yet, like and subscribe. But yeah, man, I'm back, baby. Cowboy C3. I'll see y'all soon. All right, peace.